Hey everyone, I'm Isaac and welcome back to Isaac Reviews 2024. Godzilla and King Kong are the most iconic giant monsters in all of cinema, with many movies being made featuring them over the years. And 10 years ago, Warner Brothers and Legendary Pictures started a new cinematic universe known as the MonsterVerse, with major crossover events between these characters, the latest one of these being Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. Oh, sorry, I meant Godzilla Kong. God, that's such a stupid title. The last time we saw these two together was in Godzilla vs. Kong, which was fine, I guess. The writing kinda sucked and I didn't care too much about the human characters, but it had some phenomenal CGI and intense fight scenes. Also, if you're wondering, before the movie came out, I was on Team Godzilla all the way. But now the MonsterVerse is back on the big screen with the kaiju lizard and giant gorilla having to team up to stop a new enemy. I certainly wasn't expecting something on par with the emotional powerhouse that was Godzilla -1, but I figured that as long as I was entertained, everything should be fine, and I was certainly entertained. The premise is pretty simple, believe it or not. Basically, Godzilla and Kong are just vibing until Kong discovers more giant apes in Hollow Earth. One of them is the Scar King, who wants to use the power of an ancient monster to rule over Hollow Earth and potentially even the surface world. So Kong and Godzilla have to put aside their differences and try to work together to defeat this newfound threat. I think the best way to describe Godzilla Kong is that it's the live-action equivalent of the Super Mario Bros. Movie. It's certainly lacking in terms of the writing, but whatever you're expecting from it is more or less what you'll get, and so long as you're expecting giant CGI monster battles, you're gonna have a great time. One of the main problems plaguing the MonsterVerse is that the human characters are rather flat and uninteresting despite being in a sizable amount of the movie, and that sadly applies to this one. I could tell that the actors were trying, and Dan Stevens' character easily had the best lines in the film, but they just didn't have anything in the way of worthwhile development or memorable interactions. That and the pacing is kinda jank. There's times where it hardly feels like it has enough time to breathe as it jumps from one over-the-top action spectacle to the next with not a lot of room for expanding upon the world building. The most we get are some expansions to Hollow Earth that are pretty cool, but other than that, there's not a whole lot of development for the world of this film beyond some exposition dumping. But let me be clear, I was not going into this movie expecting something thought-provoking or thematically rich. As long as I got to see giant monsters kicking each other's butts, then I was gonna be happy, and Godzilla Kong delivered in that regard. And it especially delivered from a visual standpoint. There is some absolutely breathtaking CGI with the environments and the monsters, with the action scenes being the highlight of the film. The movie makes insanely creative use of not only the monsters' strengths, but also the different locations they find themselves in. Couple that with the striking choreography and a bombastic score by Tom Holkenborg and newcomer Antonio Di Iorio, and you've got yourself some of the best action to come out of this franchise. Overall, Godzilla Kong: The New Empire is exactly what I expected going into it. It's far from perfect and the writing is pretty weak, but it more than made up for it with the fantastic visuals and electrifying action. If you're a fan of kaiju movies, you'll absolutely have a great time watching this. And the same goes for if you want something that doesn't require you to think too hard beyond big CGI monkey and lizard go brr. The most thought I had to do was on what rating I'd give it, but I ultimately settled on a 7.5 out of 10. Sometimes you don't need Rotten Tomatoes to affect your enjoyment of something. Next time, I'll be talking about Monkey Man. I've been hearing glowing reviews for it so far, and judging by the trailers, I can absolutely see where the hype is coming from. Anyways, thanks for watching this episode of Isaac Reviews 2024. Subscribe for more videos like this, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!